looks like. And believe it or not, 92% of them agree on what fair looks like. So if the idea of a fairly done distribution curve basically just allows everybody to live, and the possibility for upward mobility is there if you're at the bottom end of that distribution.
Now, that's
doors for. Go ahead.
No, so, and that's one key issue I want everybody that you brought out, you tipped my hand on. There's always going to be a wealth gap because there's different levels of education, obviously, in different jobs. Not everybody's going to equal the same amount. But like you said, the issue that I have is just the great disparity. I was going to go into later on about the education level, but now we're seeing people who are highly educated and still not getting jobs.
Right, and that's the problem, the lack of upward mobility. And that is when you start to have a problem. That's because what happens is people at the bottom kind of get stuck. Even if you go and get extra skills, you're kind of stuck to some degree. And what I think our problem is it's an unfair advantage has been given to those who are at the top. Because they have an influence in politics and law, that is where our problem comes from, because instead of us having a fair, even playing ground, you have people who are now able to blatantly influence the law in their favor. And that's where you start to see the problem, because you start to lose the ability for lower income to the lower income people to be able to have upward mobility because they're not playing on a level playing field. And so the solution is really easy. You've got to take the deck and stop stacking it. It's simple. And then the market will rebound itself, because it's a natural order. There be some kind of distribution. And if we did allow the real natural distribution instead of manipulating markets, manipulating laws, things like that, then I think that the problem will be self-correcting. We've just got to get the stacking out of the way.
So basically you're saying the main thing that there's a lot of different answers, but you're saying we need to start with eliminating people's ability to stack the deck or that can control the laws.
Absolutely. Stop the stacking the deck. I mean, things like Citizens United. When you have the Supreme Court ruling consistently in favor of big business, at some point, all of these different things come together for a larger impact than intended.
It sounds like a young baby wanted to get in there, a few words in. I'm assuming the wealth gap is affecting that little one too, huh?
We're really lucky that she's actually playing with her toys. She's not actually after the phone, or we'd hear more from her.
I understand. Now, the issue about all of this is, now you coming from a businesswoman, and I'm going to say, and follow my train of thought here, okay? At the time, traditionally, and I'm not being sexist here, I'm just saying traditionally, women earn less, the men earn more. Right now, currently, I think a few years ago, and even up to now, women was earning 78 cents to a dollar that every man was making, which I think is stupid. Now, you seeing more and more, for a variety of different reasons, the man is having to stay home or the man can't get the job for whatever reason. And now you're seeing more women working. Now the wealth gap is even hurting more because the woman is earning less. So now,
right, that's true.
So now let's say that, for example, I'm throwing hypothetical numbers out here, people. Okay, let's say the woman had the customer service, she was the teacher, social services, whatever, 40 grand, okay? The husband out there working, whatever, 70, 80, let's just say 80 grand, okay? Money was based off of his, paying the major bills, the wife was helping and other stuff, typically. You know, things switching the economy of your household. Now, she's back at work, maybe now earning $45,000, but that $80,000 is gone. And maybe some of the little side salaries or whatever, or he took another job. We all know plenty of lawyers dentists, people working at McDonald's now, if your credit's good enough, by the way, and now getting $15,000. So now, even if you weren't living in the multiple cars and Mercedes and the big house, and you was living pretty fairly, you are hurting. Now your family is below the poverty line. So now, and I'm not familiar with your family dynamic at the moment, but you are a major breadwinner in your family with your two businesses and the other businesses that you were involved in. How do you see this game affecting you and going down the line?
Well, for my household, one of the things that's been really important is for us to manage our finances always as if we only have the finance of the lower breadwinner. And that what that does is that puts you in a very, very strong position. If the main income is lost, you still can maintain your standard of living because you've kept that standard of living within your means, your real means.
Okay. Now, is also in perspective. Now, in addition, with any extra income, and me knowing you as a person, you throwing all that money into the bank and various different investments, savings. So, in case, heaven forbid, neither one of you are having anything coming in, you have something to protect yourselves up to 4 to 6 months or what have you. Because they always said to say have a savings of 6 months. These days, that's all gone. You need to have a savings for 2 years. We know people who still looking for work after a couple of years now.
That's true. We've lost a lot of people from the workforce. It hasn't just been a strong job recovery. We've lost a lot of people, so they're not counted anymore. And part of the problem that we've seen too is that 6 out of 10 of the jobs that have replaced the pre-recession jobs they earn a lot less. So as a whole, our nation, at the end of the day, starts losing wealth because you've got so many people who used to have these higher incomes and they were bigger consumers because they had more money. They're not there to spend. So your customers don't have as much money as they used to have.
And that affects you.
That needs to be fixed.
And that affects you and other small business owners that now you have in your case inventory that needs to be moved, because as long as the inventory is sitting on itself, that's costing you money.
Well, and also too, I've seen a huge jump in the need for nonprofit services, and so that's one of the reasons why I'm looking to become an expert in raising finance for nonprofits and small businesses, because people have ideas and or skills, but they don't have funding. It's really difficult for people, the average Joe, to connect to the funding that's out there to start a business or even to meet a need of a community through a nonprofit.
So go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, that just made that a perfect fit for me to, if I wanted to facilitate helping to make things happen to resolve some of these problems, then not only am I able to encourage people to get out there and meet the need through their ideas and for services and whatnot, but to be able to show them how to actually get to the money that will make their dreams and visions possible to make it into a reality. It's a really big gap. It's so big that a lot of people don't begin to know where to go.
That's extremely true. I'm going to throw out some information for a fact, and I want your opinion. Okay. Then one statistic, they say the wealth disparity between whites and blacks has grew wider, during the Great Recession. Now, in one of them since 1983, the overall income was just a little bit under $70,000 for blacks and non-Hispanics, and now for whites it was a little bit of almost $300,000. Now the market has tremendously grown. In 2010, the wealth was moved up to maybe a little bit right around $100,000. $100,000, but for whites it moved up to $630,000. So that is a big disparity of a little over $500,000 from when it was just before a little bit over $60,000. And granted, yes, things have changed different between that time, but it's growing bad. And then now we have more and more minorities here from various different countries and also grazing within the United States. It's still getting worse. What do you think about that?
I think that is partly a natural part of the recession to the degree that in America race is an issue. We know that discrimination occurs, and you're going to see it really show its ugly head in a time when when scarcity exists. That's when you're really going to see the issue. So with jobs being scarce, you expect to see that kind of disparity happen in a society where racial tension exists. The key, I think, part of the way to really change that disparity is to really become active in these black communities and address the root causes of the problem. That is what, as soon as you look at the black community and this issue, you've now expanded it. It's not just the issue of the stacking of the debt, because everybody has to deal with the stacking of the debt. But now you also have throw in discrimination and area-specific problems. There are certain wards in every city that they have really high crime, but they also have really, really high poverty. Those areas have very, very low or few jobs in them, and the people there don't have access to the best education either. That's a triple whammy.
And that increases the wealth gap.
To a loss of hope, and when hope goes down, crime goes up.
And then that was my next point I'm going to explain later. The problem with the wealth gap is the lack of education. Granted, we did speak about those who are having, do have high amount of skills, but at the same time, you still have a better chance of getting hired than someone who don't have those skills. But I'm going to I'm going to give you a devil's advocate question. So please, this is not my view, but majority of America is white by numbers, so you're going to see an inequality in minority employment that contributes to the wealth gap. Too bad. There's more of us than you.
Well, if you look at the big picture, it was very, very different 50 years ago. So there has been a change that I believe is going to be unstoppable, and there's going to be more change. I think that the difference in color or quote-unquote race, it's just looked at completely different generation to generation. This generation now will not continue to carry this on. As we go forward more and more, you'll start to see less and less, this become less and less of an issue, because at the end of the day, it becomes a moral issue. We all know it's wrong to hate. We know it. And at the end of the day, we as a species, humanity, will be self-correcting. So, yes, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, a few hundred years ago, we were way down the ladder and very barbaric in terms of looking at slavery and people's rights. With time comes change. And as scarcity goes away, there's less and less scarcity that's real, then there will be less and less of those racial tensions as well. So some of that will correct itself as we continue to be like a wealthy country. And even without, it doesn't have to be wealthy as a whole, but if people's basic needs are met, then they have less energy even to spend on hate.
Miss Catrina Dunlap, I thank you so very much for taking the time out to call into the ENLIVEN Radio. You've always been a friend of the program, and we just thank you so very much. And blessings to you and your family. And and by the way, you have some very successful children. Can you please announce their names and stuff and what they're doing?
I just have one child. I have a daughter. Her name is Terry, and she's 18 and in college. She's going to school for graphic arts and photography.
And this is all from a mother who did what with her children? Or child?
Say that again?
And you homeschooled your child?
I did.
Yes, indeed.
I did from 10th grade on.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. And still ran 2 businesses. Well, my hat's off to you. Granted, I'm not a mother, so I'm not going to sit here and act like one, but still big ups to you. And I thank you very much for your time and educating us from your point of view and just life in general. And I thank you. And please always, let us know how you're doing, okay?
I definitely will, and I appreciate the honor of being able to be on the show.
Thank you.
Take care and have a great night.
You too, and have a blessed one and stay warm.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, we just had a wonderful conversation with Miss Catrina Dunlap with a lot of the different things that she's doing. And yes, it's a big, lot of this is a fundamental issue of race, poverty, crime, and those people within the neighborhood, those neighborhoods do contribute to the wealth gap. And also what hurts is our lack of education and knowledge within it. Again, a lot of people over the years who just don't understand it. Now, let me give you a little bit of an example of how education plays a role. People with professional degrees earn 6 times as much as people who did not graduate from high school. In 2009, for example, the income was $128,000 versus $20,000. Can you believe that? That much of a difference. Of a difference over $100,000. And we've seen the news and statistics, and I know many of us just go right on by, but really, that much of a difference. And it's over $1 million and a couple million over amount of a lifetime. Finding employment for also one of the issues is trying to when it comes to employment, to help people stay stable and contribute to themselves, taxes, society, other businesses, supporting other groups. There's various other factors. Now, one of the factors is finding employment for our older workers, and I'm not picking on anybody's age, so please don't send, AARP after my back, okay? And ENLIVEN Radio is not in a feud with AARP. Just get it out there, okay? But finding employment for older workers with limited education attainment may be challenging. Now, the only reason why I'm saying this is that there's still many of them that did come from a family where they can only afford up to high school, or they were only able to go to high school, maybe a trade school or something, maybe a certification, or maybe just went straight to a factory because they did have family, because the opportunity may not have been available to them, things like that. A significant number of people may be prematurely withdrawn permanently from the labor force. Because now, keep in mind, those factories, some of these people are just comfortable with factory workers. Like I said, not everybody can do Microsoft Office. Granted, I do believe everybody should know how to type, but I'm not asking everybody to be super savvy like I am. But to be honest, we do live in a technological world. But there are many people who do not know how to do an email. Many people do not know how to use a PDF. We see many people, how many people we know out there, okay? And those of you who's listening, raise your hands because you know I'm talking about you. How many people out there that they retire from their job, but then they right back to work full-time somewhere else? I know so many people who are just so happy to retire, but they find out either, and not just because they're bored, but they need the job. And they couldn't stay on the job because they would lose all the benefits and everything else, and they were forced out. Keep in mind, many state and federal, just basically government jobs now are contract. So I could say, yeah, I work for the State Department. I could work for Homeland Security, whoever. I can work down the street. I could be the cashier inside a VA hospital. It's still a state job. But many of these jobs are now contract. And then now, so all those benefits that many people were back in and grandfathered from the 70s, 80s, 90s, yesteryear, and so forth, those things don't exist anymore. The money's in a contract. Then that way the government don't have to pay all these pensions and benefits, and you don't get your 4 to 6 weeks of vacation time and all these other different things. It plays a big role. And sometimes people always say, well, okay, we just keep on working, but you don't understand the dynamic. And now when you're dealing with constant layoffs because you're not able to pay your bills, okay, so now you're basically managing what you can. So you're not able to buy other things, small businesses, large businesses, pay taxes to other different things, or maybe start your own. So you're limited to be able to contribute to these things. Thus, your credit is not being bills are not being paid for, or you're able to do things to improve your credit. And then now that goes down, and then when you try to get another job, oh, I'm sorry, your credit's not good enough, and that's a bunch of bull in itself. Okay, one of the few things I get irate is about credit check for a job. There's no proof in the world that says I need to have good credit to be a good standing person in society. Last I checked, a bunch of CEOs are always stealing money. During the recession, how many people we see from Bank of America, all these other different organizations, I call them out one by one if I have to remind you, that was stealing money, but okay, we just let you go. You still kept your salary for the year and all of the shares that you were given. And it's mosey on by. Let any of us steal a stapler from the job, we're tried for, larceny. So, I mean, it's just disparity. And yes, money plays a role in it, but it should not. We have another wonderful caller. And good evening. Welcome to ENLIVEN Radio, part of Legacy Internet Radio. I'm your host, the one and only Mr. LP, Stephen Sykes. Who do we have on the line today?
Hey, this is Coach Ellis.
Hello, Coach Ellis. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I love that energy, sir. Keep it on going. We need that warmth, sir. It's kind of cold out there.
It's a little chilly.
Oh, just a little chilly. I'm fine. If you good, I'm good. Well, Mr. Coach Ellis, first of all.
Absolutely.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time out your busy schedule to join us in this conversation. You are currently a life coach. Am I correct, sir?
That's correct. I'm a life and a leadership coach.
I'm sorry, a life and a leadership coach.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Tell us a little bit about if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your business and things like that, because this is all about wealth gap and bridging, and it involves you. So tell us a little bit about your business, if you don't mind, and your website and how people can contact you.
Sure. Well, I'm a life and leadership coach. I host a radio show called Transformational Conversations. We're on 3 nights a week on Blog Talk Radio. On Sunday night, we do Why Church People, and we talk about the things in the church. On Tuesday nights, in about an hour or so, we'll do Coaching Live. We'll actually do personal and organizational coaching based upon what's going on in the news and our callers' issues. And then on Thursday nights, we do Transformational Conversations Book Talk, where we look at some of the trending books on self-help and what's really good and what's really not good. And our entire effort is to help people discover their divine design, pursue their personal purpose, define their destiny, and ultimately leave a legacy. So that's what we do for Transformational Conversations.
Awesome. So we're able to get you on Blog Talk Radio, Transformational Conversations on Blog Talk Radio, correct?
Absolutely. Or you can go to my website, transformationalconversations.com. That's TRANS, the number 4, National Conversations.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, also, by the way, let me not forget, you are a former military veteran, sir?
I am.
Okay, vet.
I served in the Army.
Okay, in the Army. How long you served, sir?
I was active duty for about 10 years and reserve about another 4 or 5 years.
Oh, my. Well, thank you very much for your time and service, sir. We know we all support a lot of different groups, and definitely we support the military and the people who out there sacrificing. And I thank you for your time and effort, sir.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you for recognizing it.
Now, I have a question for you, sir. Do you know what
Sure.
Do you know what the wealth gap is?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It's a difference between the wealth gap is the difference between, well, I guess who makes the rules and who doesn't. Oftentimes when we talk about wealth gaps, in our community we really talk about rich gaps and not the wealth gaps. And the difference is that, the people we idolize in our community are rich. They are. Whether it's a basketball player or a football player, they're rich. Wealthy is when your money makes you money, and you don't even know it's making you money. Someone was having a conversation about Michael Jordan and talking about how much he makes for every free throw and how much he makes for every minute he plays basketball. And they came up with this real huge number and said, well, for every shot Michael Jordan took, it might have been worth $100,000, we'll say. When they got done with all these numbers, they said, that's how much Bill Gates makes in a day. That's wealth.
When your money is working for you.
When it works for you. When your money is a tool that works for you, that's wealth. The wealth gap we really have is an education gap, not a money gap. And in the church, we say it's a faith gap, not a money gap.
Okay. Well, see, that's where one of my big issues with this, and it's a catch-22, and help me. And if you agree or disagree, let me know. Jump on in, sir. My big issue is that not everybody can get. There's always going to be a wealth gap in terms of like whatever you do, you're not going to earn. Obviously, McDonald's workers not going to earn as a doctor, but you can't take everybody from these factory workers and tell everybody to go get an education. They do come out, and then there's no jobs and nothing that's comparable to what they were earning before. Okay, that's one issue. Two, you have many of us who were highly educated, skilled in things. How many people we know doctors, having to do yard work, lumber, whatever skill they had in college just to try to get by because they still can't get a job. And three, we still see many, especially our young African-American males, not have a high school education. 1 out of 4 is still dropping out of school, which in kids overall. Do you agree or disagree? And your thoughts, sir?
Well, let me start with the last one about the high school education. We do have a dropout issue, and the lack of education again creates a money gap, but not necessarily a wealth gap. It creates a money gap. A college graduate, a person with a professional degree, will make tons more money than someone without a high school education. Again, that's a money gap. Wealth is when your money works for you, and I'm going to mention this to you and see if you agree with this. When we grew up and went to high school, the big thing was go to college, get a job, go to college, get good grades, you can get a good job. But we were not taught how to maintain money and wealth. Most of us are taught we learn how to handle money by watching our parents. And I don't know about you, but where I'm from, most of our parents didn't have any money to really talk about.
Or really didn't know any better themselves because they were just now getting a job or any job. And,
absolutely.
And you see an issue, and I used to fuss that it was a big problem in the black community, but you see in a lot of communities, and this was going to be a topic later on the show, you see as soon as we get a little bit bundle of money, like people are screaming for tax time, but then instead of spending the money, throw it in your house, throw it in savings, put it towards education, something that's going to work for you. Like, as a side, my grandmother always told me, if you're going to go broke investing in yourself. Not, for example, okay, I could not afford this car payment, but now I got 2 or 3 kids. I done got like $8,000-9,000 in earned income credit. I'm going to go get the down payment for that SUV so I can ride with my crew and my girls and my boys. But then I can't make the payments after 4 or 5 months. I give it the car back, and now your money is wasted. But
yep,
now,
absolutely.
And so now the education now, thankfully, and shout out to Laurel Park and Martinsville, Henry County, we were taught what to do with our money. And unfortunately, not everybody paid attention. But a lot of people weren't taught. And I've seen a lot of families did not teach you how to use the money. Now, when my mother always took me, my grandmother always took me to go cash our checks, took us shopping. My grandma always had me that little clicker, if you remember, back in the day in the 70s or the 60s.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And you were counting the money. And then if I was off,
Yep.
you're in trouble. That means you don't get anything. So, excuse me. So what is your thoughts towards that?
Well, I think that our education system teaches us how to be dependent and not independent. And what we learn about money, we learn how to count it, but we don't learn what to do with it. It's just a really recent phenomenon where schools start teaching you how to balance a checkbook before you graduate.
And I didn't understand why we went away from that. That was required. If you couldn't do that, you didn't pass a class.
Yeah. There are some things that have to be required. But, they put it upon parents. But, yeah, I know families that have gone generations and never balanced a checkbook. I have more checks, I must have more money. And it's not because they don't want to do better. I believe that this wealth gap we talk about, this money gap we talk about, is really an education gap. There's a difference between getting an education and being educated. And we are not money smart. We do not have, by and large, a good money education. We've not been educated. And the organizations that are designed to educate us, our families, our schools, and our churches, have failed us when it comes to educating us about using resources. Each one of those, the black family, the black college, and the black church, by and large, live week to week. Or as we said when I was in college, we lived on fumes and prayer. Because even at a black college with millions of dollars in endowments, they couldn't seem to balance the budget and stay out of debt.
And we just lost.
And it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter whether you have a high school education or a postgraduate education. Willie Jolly says this, and Willie Jolly is a famous speaker from the Washington D.C. area. It's not how much you make; it's how much you keep. And where we have a problem is, and I think you're right, we don't have any won't power. We have plenty of willpower. We will go buy the rims that are more expensive than our car. We will go buy speakers that fit in the back of our truck. We don't have any won't power. We won't delay gratification. We see it, we need it right now. Because somehow we've gotten to this mindset, if I don't get it right now, I won't be able to get it later. But if we get it now, we pay the price for it later, and we never get to the good stuff. We allow the good stuff to get in the way of our personal greatness, economic.
And that's where I've always fussed and said, we need to do better. I am a staunch supporter. Now, don't get me wrong. I would like to have nice things. I'm not saying you can't have nice things. But, when you have other things going for you, those things will be down the line. And if you never get it, okay. But, I will have more respect. How many times I was busted over the fact that I had my TX1000s versus the Nike? How many times I've had busted, my shirt and everything else, and they say, if you last longer, but not necessarily. I did not need the $40 Levi's versus my $10 I got at Walmart. And then the girl did not want to talk to me because she said my gear ain't correct. But then you don't understand. I had a big argument with a young lady, and this was actually is on my YouTube wall, that about coupons, and this may be a little bit of a side, but it goes towards the point. I was saying, use a coupon on the argument was, do you use a coupon on a date or what have you? And I said yes, and all these women were saying, no, you're being cheap. And my thing is but the man is, I'm using that coupon to have more money to save down the line to do more things. But she wants the instant gratification of wealth, whining, and dining. Now, granted, there's other factors into that. But that goes to show now we're educating our mind, other young girls, other young boys, not just in the black community anymore, But what to do, this is how you get on in life. You have to show versus, like you said, saving and having something else down the line. If I don't have nothing else, and now I don't want to be broke, but if I'm broke and my bills are paid, I'm okay versus having a few dollars, but I'm okay. I got some other nice things, but I still got some other stuff that needs to be more important, and my lights are turned off by tomorrow.
Well, let me submit this to you. If your bills are paid, you ain't broke.
Amen. Excuse me, I spoke. You're right.
One of the things we face in coaching, when we talk about life or leadership coaching, is people getting a handle on their economics. And there are some principles that, as a people, we haven't figured out yet. One of them is, and I learned this the hard way, and I'll just tell you a real quick story. I won't belabor it, but I had a 6-figure a year job working for a pharmaceutical company. I had a $1 billion drug. I was one of the top 5 salespeople in the entire country. So I wasn't just barely over 6 figures. I was well into the 6 figures and doing very good. I lost my job on a technicality. Well, I did it. I didn't pay a traffic ticket. So I lost my job because I didn't pay a traffic ticket. I went from making close to $250,000 to unemployment of $300 a week. Now, I remember wondering how I was going to survive. How I was going to survive. I just spent $40,000 on a wedding.
Mm.
You know, I lost the job on my honeymoon.
Wow, I'm sorry.
And well, it all worked out. That's why I have transformational conversations. But at the time, I was struggling, or as my granddad would say, I was struggling, and I could not understand what I was going to do. And then I said, well, the young lady I married said, well, we got to make sure we still tithe to the church. I said, okay, I can tithe off my unemployment. I can do that. And the principle she brought to me was, no, you don't tithe on what you make. Tithe on what you should be making. What are you, how valuable are you? Tithe off of that. I was tithing off of 6 figures when I'm bringing in about $1,000 a month. And I did not understand it, but I will tell you, I don't know how the math adds up. But I did not miss a meal, no cars repossessed, didn't get kicked out the condo, nothing.
That was God right there also. Nothing
at all. Oh, I hear you. And I tell people that I learned that what I have to help pastors understand and church folks understand is that we don't tithe, we don't work to pay bills. We work to finance the kingdom work so that God handles our bills. Now, there's no math that will make this make sense. And I've just kind of figured out that God's a little smarter than I am. And he works it out. I taught calculus in college. I are kind of smart. I can add stuff together, but no matter how I figure this thing out, it never adds up. But as soon as I stop doing that tithing thing, okay, how much money I have? I can't even keep it straight. Whenever I get into financial difficulty, I start giving money away. Just give it away. Mm-hmm. That is a principle that doesn't make any sense to us. But those who have lived it will tell you it works 100% of the time. Let me tell you how valuable this lesson was. Everyone knows who Ted Turner is. And Ted Turner is a devout atheist. Ted Turner gives away, he owns Turner Broadcasting, TBS, TNT, CNN News. He owns all that stuff. He gives away 17% of everything he makes. He gives it away. This is a guy who's a devout atheist. When asked, why he does it. He says, I don't know how this thing works, but the more money I give away, the more money I make. Then someone said, isn't this a biblical principle? And he said, I don't care whose principle it is. Only I know is that it works. So even the ungodly benefit from the biblical law that if I give things away, if I sacrificially give, then I will receive what I need and more. That's a lesson our community hasn't figured out, because the only thing we see is what we see. And we never give God the chance to do what only he can do. That's the first principle, is we got to tithe. If you own a business or an organization, when I talk to churches, when I talk to business, I said, your business must tithe. Not only do you personally tithe, but you ought to give your stuff away. At least 10% of it, sacrificially, give it away. And then watch your business increase 7, 10, and 100-fold because you give it away. Again, principles that people don't really get. Can't explain it, but it works. So, principle is about giving it away, tithing. Second principle is delayed gratification. If I'm 20 years old and I'm making $25,000, I should live like I'm making $25,000. There's no shame in living within your means. Because if you start living like you make $35,000, after a while you will look like you only make $15,000.
You're going backwards that way.
Yeah. If you try to live above your means, you'll soon be living below your means. In the military, I have young soldiers, and I'd always give them the same financial counseling. When you get promoted, what?
I'm sorry, sir. Hold on, sir. Sir, we have a bad connection at the second. I'm sorry. We heard military. Could you say that again, sir?
See, cushion.
I'm sorry.
Because you haven't maxed yourself out.
Okay, I'm sorry. We're military, and what type of cushion, sir?
Well, I tell soldiers that when they get promoted,
okay,
live on half their promotion. So if I get a $500 a month increase, I'll only actually live on $250 of it. The other $250 I start putting away. And I'm gonna get promoted every 3 or 4 years, and there'll be $400, $500, $600 a month promotions. But if I only live on half of the increase, I will always have a cushion. And then whenever I get ready to retire, I have money in the bank. I can pay cash for a $40,000 car. I can put down a $50,000 deposit on a $400,000 home. Those things make sense. But our community doesn't get that because we're not taught that. It's not reinforced, and it's not rewarded in our community.
And then now, in terms of reward, how do you feel we should be rewarded? In your definition, sir.
I think that when people make good, sound financial decisions that keeps them from living, quote unquote, the high life, so they can live a better life later, I think we reward them by recognizing, hey, they made a sacrificial decision, or they've sowed seed here, or they've sacrificially given to these folks here. We reward them not by giving them things other than an attaboy. Shake their hands. Highlight what they do. Help start a trend. Well, maybe, every charity that we know of started because one person had an idea they wanted to give to somebody. And then pretty soon it caught on fire. Now, the third principle, we got tithing. We got not overextending yourself on your promotions. But I think the third principle is, well, I lost my train of thought on that one. But what we have to be able to do is build a legacy. And that simply means that everything we do, we have to have the long picture in mind. Okay, it can't be just for us. It can't be just for us. It has to be for the next generation. The principle is everybody needs a hustle. Now, that may be a little street for some, but everybody needs hustle. We work 9 to 5 for our health. To be honest, we work 9 to 5 for our health. That gives us our health insurance. That pays the mortgage. That takes care of the light bills. That's our 9 to 5. After our 9 to 5 is our hustle. We do our 9 to 5 for health. We do our hustle for wealth. Everybody ought to have a home business and learn how to maximize loopholes in the tax structure. Everybody ought to have a home business, whether that's Mary Kay, whether that's Life or Team or some type of travel agency. Everybody ought to have a hustle or their own coaching business, because when you do that, you can start writing off things you do every day, like traveling to the store or traveling to go pick people up. You start writing that stuff off for gas, and pretty soon it adds up. And when you start doing your taxes, you may have made $30,000 this year, but you may have accumulated $5,000 worth of trips that you can now take off that $30,000. Now you're going to tax $25,000. And oh, by the way, you paid your mortgage or your rent, and you got a home office. You're able to take off 25% of your house if your office is that big for everything you put into the house. That's how we learn to pay ourselves. And pretty soon you get down to a place where you have very little tax debt because you maximize the law that allows you to do that. And nobody screams when Bill Gates pays pennies on a dollar for taxes, because he knows how to go in there and put things in the right places. And then we're sitting back making $40,000 a year, wondering why the government got half. If we have a hustle, we have a home business, that we work. And it's not just a matter of having something in paper only. We work it. It doesn't have to be profitable. It just has to be worked. And if you're spending money doing it, and it's something that you love to do, why not let the government do what the government does and help compensate you for it?
Sir, you just spoke nothing but the truth. So many things in that one line. We have a 9 to 5 for our health, but we should have a hustle to build our wealth. I mean, I've been speaking that line for so long, sir. I appreciate it so very much for you reiterating that. That makes me feel so good that, all the politicking and standing on my soapbox begging people to save that money and do more and invest themselves, it makes me feel better that it didn't go for waste.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, keep preaching the gospel, man.
I appreciate
That's important.
And tell us, I thank you so very much for taking the time out to call us. Sir, you're always a welcome friend of the program. Please check us out and, make sure, tell us again where we can find you at.
I'm sorry, say again?
Tell us again where we can find you at, Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah, you can find us on Blog Talk Radio, Transformational Conversations. You can always email me at lifecoachellis@gmail.com. And you can find us on Facebook, Transformational Conversations, and on Twitter at Transform Convos. And, of course, I'm a life coach, so I'm always available for group or individual coaching or consultation. Our job is to help people find their divine design, pursue their purpose, find their destiny, and leave a legacy.
Amen, sir. Amen. Thank you very much, sir, and I appreciate it. And may you have a blessed day and stay warm, okay, sir? And let us know when
Blessings to you, my friend.
And then let us know if you got anything going on. Let us know. We'll be happy to get your name out there in the event, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. Woo! We're going to have to rewind off of these first two, and we got a lot more coming to you. I tell you, you have to transform yourself, people. We're coming up with all these different ideas, these thoughts, and things like that, but one of the main things, and he hit it in Catrina and Coach Ellis, hit it on the head. We have to change our mind. We have to change our way of thinking. And, this is what's going to get us, we talk about the promised land and all these other different things. This is what's going to get us to the next level here. And we all should have a business. Now, I'm not so sure if everybody can handle it, because not everybody are good business people. But, and things like that. Everybody can't do everything. But many of us can. Many of us want to, but don't have the encouragement. One of the things in my video series, if any of you check out my YouTube page, is the my ENLIVEN Radio on the YouTube page. I have an empowerment series that I have. It's for women, but to be honest, it's done so well. Men and women, everybody's getting from it. But it's called an Empowerment Women Series, and it's not about all the different things that are something special. Now, I'm not denouncing anything that any of these women have done, but it's about moving forward, changing our mindset. I recognize what happened to me. I recognize I misused the love that I thought I had, or misused the love that my parents did show me, and you went the wrong way. I didn't listen. I've fallen off. I did do well, and somebody hurt me. Somebody hit me. Somebody raped me. Somebody beat me. The job left. I lost my child. I had cancer. I lost an arm. I miscarried. I lost my family. We went. These women has gone through hell and back. Some of them are still going through it, but they're still moving forward, and that's where that empowerment series is going to, because they're using that to build themselves, build that wealth, build that income to get to the wealth, and to move forward. And that's what we got to do in order to survive. Because if we don't, I don't know what else is left for us. Because I don't want to see another man, woman, child of any race on the street. And it gets hard. But we have another great caller. Woo, we're hitting hot today. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to ENLIVEN Radio, part of Legacy Internet Radio. I'm your host, the one and only Mr. LP, Stephen Sykes. Who do we have on the line today? Okay. I apologize. We lost connection with that caller. Please forgive me. Yeah, sometimes, people, we lose callers. And the weather's bad out there. So, again, if anybody's out there listening on the road, please, I promise you, the show is being recorded. We will get you back on the game. And so please be safe out there. Also, I want to give a shout out to everybody who's listening to us on LegacyInternetRadio.com, through LoudCity.com, those who are hooking us up on the TuneIn application for your cell phone and your desktop, and also those of you who are listening to us on the MixLR. And I thank all of y'all for supporting us, because we would not be here without you. On the MixLR page, I see Miss Michelle K. Robinson. Thank you so very much. And I want to thank everybody that's out there supporting us. Also, I don't give him enough love, Mr. Cutting Edge. He has a lot of good information and comics and things like that, and I appreciate that man very much for supporting us and putting us a lot of images out there. And again, I want to give a great support and thank you to Miss Nikki Curry, the Brand Definer. You can find her on the branddefiner.com, BRANDDEFINER.com. She's a speaker, publicist, a brand manager. Like I said, she'll get your groceries, put the air in the tire in the cars, everything else. And if you ain't doing right clothes-wise, she'll tell you off and then get you straight, too. And I'll tell you, that woman's a tough cookie. But I'm going to tell you one thing for sure. It's all with love. It is definitely all with love. So I thank everybody out there. And I thank her for helping me get this show going. we have another caller. See who we have. Hello, 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 and good evening. This is the one and only Mr. LP Stephen Sykes of ENLIVEN Radio. Who do we have on the line today?
Tina Mason is here.
Miss Mason, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's blessings to have you here. Are you warm, ma'am?
Yes, I am.
All right. I'm glad that you're warm. Miss Mason, first off, thank you so very much for joining our show today on this wonderful topic about the wealth gap.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Now, first off, ma'am, you have a business and a couple of things going on for yourself. Do you mind telling us a little bit about it and how we can contact you?
Yes, I am a credit coach as well as motivational speaker. Contact information for me would be my website is Tina Speaks with an S credit.com. That's TINA. S as in Sam, P as in Paul, EAK, S as in Sam, CREDIT.com. Email address would be restore, just as it sounds, with me @gmail.com. And telephone number would be 877-205-0945.
Awesome. So now I can come to you and you can help fix my credit. I can get that black card and I can go out shopping and everything. I can go to Fiji and London right now.
Well, we want you to be responsible with getting that good credit, but yes, I can help you.
All right. Now, question for you, ma'am. Are you familiar with the wealth gap?
Pardon? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry. Please forgive me, ma'am. Are you familiar with the wealth gap?
I am not.
Okay. Well, the wealth gap, and let me ask you this also. Are you a mother by any chance, or are you married?
Yes, I am married and a mother of two.
Okay. Now, this hits home. Okay. Now, we have a problem in this nation called the wealth gap. Okay. And what it is basically becoming where one income is getting so far above the other where it's making it hard. Now, we obviously know not everybody can earn the same amount of money. That wouldn't be correct. But the disparity of the income is so far where people are not able to get ahead. It's not just about the income, but it's the wealth to be able to take you on to the next level. Okay. So we're not seeing prices staying the same, stable. We're not seeing our jobs. Even now, we were making a point about the lack of education and basically those who are getting education typically supposed to help you get out of the rut in the poverty line. But we're now seeing doctors and lawyers working at McDonald's and Family Dollar and crazy like that. And this is one of the highest positions in the world that you should be aspiring to. So now we're seeing all these different things. It's hurting America. It's not just hurting America. It's hurting the world, and more importantly, it's hurting our homes and our families, and also minority. Those of different ethnic groups here in America are hurting even more because of the jobs and racial issues and everything else. That said, how is the wealth gap affecting you?
Well, the wealth gap for me, definitely being a mother and having a family, it affected me in multiple ways. Coming from a 15-year tenure in the hospitality industry and leaving from that to grow my own business, definitely encountering challenges with finances. Still, you have bills to pay and trying to grow your business, and then maintaining your credit, and all of that plays a huge role. Make people making decisions whether to get their credit fixed or pay their bills. I mean, it's just so many different factors that go along with that. And as you said, with the economy being what it is, you have doctors and lawyers, people gone to school for MBAs and bachelor degrees, and they're working in fast food restaurants. So it's definitely a problem.
How do you feel? What do you feel is a way well, let me backtrack a little bit. You being a mother and a wife, and in your circles, you see now men don't have the jobs for a variety of reasons, okay, good and bad. But you see now women working. Whereas the example I gave earlier today, the woman was maybe earning $40,000, the husband $70,000, $80,000. Now he's out of work. And then now, unfortunately, traditionally, women are earning less than men. Right now, women are earning 78 cents to every dollar that the man earns, which is really foolish. Now, she's trying to make bills and make hay with the $40,000, maybe $45,000 now, and he's unemployed. And now your family of 4 or 5 is below the poverty line. Have you seen this? And how have you seen this affect families?
I've seen it. I've seen it oh too well. I mean, I saw it. I see it. Saw it in my own home. You know, and it's something that you definitely have to have faith. You definitely have to have faith and believe in God that, you know, he'll carry you through, because it, you know, like I said, I've seen it so many times, you know, in my own home, and going from 2 incomes to 1, it's definitely an obstacle and a barrier, and you really have to I don't know how I want to say it or how I want to put it, but you really have to have faith to be able to endure those challenges, because it's something that will definitely carry you or put you in a place or state of depression if you're not able to sustain and you know, keep going.
What was some of, when you and your husband was going through this situation, and you mentioned faith, what were some of the financial challenges, if you don't mind me asking? And I'm only asking for in the principle of we all learning as a lesson, because we may have somebody listening, husband or wife, mother, single mother, whoever, going through the same situation right now. So as a woman who's going through this experience, in addition to praying in your faith, what are some of the smart decisions that you made in going through this? Did you come up with a plan? Did you talk to your children about it so you could help educate them? Or did you try to hide it? What did you do?
No, definitely didn't try to hide it. Both of my children they're adults, and I just had to I had to have a long, hard look at myself, as well as looking at our finances as a whole. We had to look at things that you become complacent when you get used to having a certain income, and then when that income is basically not there, you got to make some adjustments. It's when you got to know what your wants are and what needs are. So the things that your wants go out of the window. It's bare necessities. And I had to make a decision. Okay, what are you going to do? Are you going to sit here and dwell in? Are you going to have a pity party? You're going to sit here and dwell on your circumstances, or what are you going to do? Well, you got to come up with a plan B. You have to do something. And, I mean, you can't, with growing a business, I couldn't just sit there waiting for the opportunity or client base to come to me. I had to get creative, not having a lot of money, but still having to have an effort or make an effort to grow my business. So things that I had to get creative, and I had to look for things that were not going to be costly to me, but would still help me grow my business. So, in all actuality, I just had to get uncomfortable. I couldn't be comfortable anymore. I had to do some things that I would normally have not done, or put myself in situations that I would normally have not, to be able to get to where I am now.
Would you say, when you were going through this time period, you said your children are adults now. Were they adults or were they children at that time?
My son, he was 16, and my daughter was 20. And as you know, with children, they basically it's all what they want. They want this and want that, but never really knowing what it is, knowing what it takes to run a household. So I always included my son. I felt guilty of not doing it with my daughter, but with my son, circumstances changed where I wasn't able to provide or give him everything that he wanted, or some of the luxuries that I did with my daughter. And basically showing him, okay, this is what it costs to run the household. These are the bills that we have to pay. Now, and I learned you're only hindering your children when you're giving them everything that they want, because they don't appreciate it. And I had to learn that the hard way. And like I said, not having the resources available to me that I normally would have had, it made me have to live a different way. So if my son, he was affected by that as well, not just my husband and I, it was my son as well, because we weren't able to give to him like we used to.
But would you say that you gave him a better gift? Because, and I'm not going against anything, because obviously I know you taught your children well, but now your daughter came from a position of she was able to get what she needed and anything else extra, but your son had to learn to adjust and learn to live without. So now as they both embark on adulthood, now your daughter could maybe not speak to some of the lessons and have to deal with it a little bit more emotionally, and as you're older, harder than what your son had to do. So did you say maybe instead of a hindrance, it may have been a benefit?
Oh, definitely. I definitely agree that it was a benefit. I definitely agree, because there's going to come a time, as I always say to him, as my grandmother used to say to me, just keep living. She used to tell me, used to tell me all the time, you just keep living, you're going to see some things. And, that's what I find myself telling him. And having to go through the challenges that we did go through, all I can do is just hope and pray that, within his life, this is something that is embedded in him, and he'll know how to deal with challenges.
So as a mother, you're going through these lessons, and of course, as a mother, you want to be able to give all what you can, and therefore, as a child. And first off, hats off to you for still keep it in there and not giving up, because we see many people fall and don't get back up. So hats off to you for keep on going, ma'am. And what type of work did you do before you got into the credit repair?
I was a hotel manager.
Okay. And now that's a key industry
Mm-hmm.
that goes along with this, because without the wealth, we're seeing people not vacationing as much. We see people not spending time in hotels. We've seen people doing these, you've heard this word, staycations. And,
yeah.
And then you see people now having more and more resolve and doing anything they can to fight the cheaper budget in a hotel, which in turn hurts your bottom dollar, all because of the lack of wealth. And as a businesswoman from both sides, what do you think we could do to help fix this problem?
Well, I definitely believe it starts with us as an individual. I believe it starts with us first, because we have to, like I said, we have to make some decisions. We have to take a hard look at us, what we're doing, our habits, our spending habits, and definitely saving more money. We become having money when we get like income tax time. We can use that for an example. When we get a lump sum of money, sometimes we fall guilty or hinder away from doing what we should do with the money, because if you're already in debt before you get the income tax money, you don't have any money to splurge on other things. And we just have to be more responsible in that aspect.
Amen. Amen. Ms. Hawkins, I thank you so very much for your input on this, because you're giving it to us not only from a business perspective, but you're hitting us hard with the as a mother and the emotional trials in this. And I don't know about anybody else, but I can hear it in your voice, the emotional side of it that took a toll on you. But again,
oh, definitely, definitely.
And I appreciate you hanging in there, not just as a mother, as a children, but as for yourself and as a wife, because obviously there's challenges that husbands and wives go through, and we see many divorces out of this.
Oh yeah, you gotta. Well, I'll tell anyone this: if you don't have God in your life, that's what happens. You can't do it without Him. I don't care what it is that you're doing. He has to be a part of it. He has to be in the midst of it all.
Amen. Amen. I thank you so very kindly and things like that. And tell us your website again real quickly.
It's Tina Speaks with an S credit.com.
All right. And I thank you so much. And you're always a lovely person. You're always welcome to our show. And you can call in and let us know, and email us, and post your information on your show about your credit repair. We always love to hear more. And Live in Radio is about the global community. And I thank you so very much, Ms. Hull.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Woo! We were just hit with it. And now we just had a mother just told us what she went through, so much with her and her family. That's pretty powerful. I'm going to hit us up with a little bit of a couple of programming things. We do have sponsors that are kind enough to help us with Legacy Internet Radio, and then, of course, my show individually, for our shows. And thank you so very much for all our listeners out there. Shout outs to who's joined us, Miss S.Y. Butler. Thank you so very much for joining us. Thank you for Miss Michelle K. Robinson, Mr. Cutting Edge, our longtime listeners out there. Also, thank you very much for everybody listening to us on LegacyInternetRadio.com, TuneIn application, and also LegacyInternetRadio.com as well. And while we're in this commercial break, please send me an email. ENLIVENRadio@gmail.com. That's ENLIVEN radio, radio@gmail.com. And also you can send me an inbox or message on Facebook page, and shoot me a shout out. I'll give you a holler. See you in a couple minutes.
Tired of wearing that same old raggedy t-shirt to group events, civic, and work situations? Then why don't you check out our folks, Live Action Captions. They offer t-shirt services here in the Richmond and Tri-City area, offering multicolored direct-to-garment printing at an affordable price. Guess what? No charge for changing colors for a design either. Pick and choose whatever you want out of the rainbow. No minimums at all. Discounts at 25 or more. If you'd like to rock one of these hot shirts that we here at Legacy Internet Radio do, then you can get with Live Action Captions at 804-640-7180. Again, that's 804-640-7180. And for all the folks who don't like to use the telly, we got it on the internet at live-action-captions at Comcast.net. Again, live-action-captions at Comcast.net, and at that same title on Facebook and Instagram. No need to worry about it shrinking. We got you covered. Live Action Captions.
This is Marcus J. of Legacy Internet Radio, and this segment of our show is sponsored by the Doctor of Optometry, Dr. Euphemia Huggins Williams, ODPC. She's my eye doctor, y'all, and she makes sure that everything is great and copacetic with my eyes, making sure I don't have any glaucoma, any cataracts, stigmatisms, or anything like that. So call her up at 804-327-1640, 804-327-1640, or drop by at 7124 Forest Hill Avenue, Suite B in Richmond, Virginia, 23225. She's got a great selection of stylish eyewear, takes all kinds of insurances. So definitely make sure you check out the Doctor of Optometry, Dr. Euphemia Huggins Williams, ODPC, at 804-327-1640. That's 804-327-1640.
Holistic care for the mind, body, and spirit. Free Spirit Enterprises, LLC is a parent company for Organic Creations, Jewelry by Design, Miller Publishing, and Consultation Services. Organic Creations offers you the best in natural, homemade skin and hair care products. Jewelry by Design allows you, the customer, to design your own jewelry as it is custom made just for you. Thinking of self-publishing a book or novel? Check out Miller Publishing and Consultation Services. Free Spirit Enterprises is where holistic care meets mind, body, and spirit. Visit us at freespiritenterprisesco.biz. That's FRESPIRIENTERPRISESCO.biz. Or you can call 804-252-6562. Like us on Facebook under Free Spirit Enterprises, LLC.
We're back here with ENLIVEN Radio, part of the great and lovely, awesome Legacy Internet Radio Company. You know, when you hear that beat, you just want to walk in the room, just open the door. I'm about ready to start it over again and just open the door and just walk back out slowly, waiting for the smoke in the background, and just do a pimp walk through the door. Don't mind me. I just sipped a little bit of high juice of all the education that we just got here going on. We had some wonderful guests today so far. And again, this is recorded, so I'm going to put this back up online. So don't worry if you missed anything part of this, because we're hitting hard. We had Miss Catrina Dunlap, Miss Ellis Crum, Miss Tina Hawkins, and we got a whole lot more coming up on the show. Again, thanks for Miss Nikki Curry, the brand definer, for hooking us up and helping us out there to get these guests and educating us on the wealth gap, because we need to do something. We're getting educated from all these different people from different walks of life, and the purpose, as always, part of ENLIVEN Radio, not to cause trouble sometimes, but just to help educate everybody. We're always about the global community, and as the motto of Legacy Internet Radio is, independence is the key to building your legacy, and that's what we're all about. And help you yourself. And we're not granted, a lot of us are black here, but we're not about black or white in terms of it only applies to one person, one culture, one gender. This is for everybody. Like I said, it's about the global community, social advocacy, and your faith. When you put your hands together and things, is about the old thing. It's about those things, and educating helping your family to lift up, to move further along in life, and that's what we got to move forward. Going off of a comment, and I'm going to call y'all out. I know y'all like, oh Lord, Steven's at it again. We have when we were going over Miss Coach Ellis Crum. She said, he was talking about we should tithe off the money we should be making and things like that. Not the money that we are currently making, but the money that we should be making. And that's pretty powerful in things. We need to do more. They also made a comment, Miss Erica Williams, who has a couple of businesses, and I'm going to call you out, young lady. You're supposed to be on my show several times, but she says she don't have $1 million a week yet to tithe for yet. And Miss Nikki Curry commented, yes, just hold on, because we're going to keep on doing. And Mr. Ellis Crum, thank you again for joining in with us. And you made a very powerful statement I have to read. Let your tithe be prophetic and not pathetic. Tithe where you should be next. If not $1 million a week, then how about an extra $100 a month for an extra $12,000 a year annually? Pretty something. I'm going to read that again. Let your tithe be prophetic. Excuse me. I'm going to try one more time. Let your tithe be pathetic and not pathetic. Tithe where you should be next. If not $1 million a week. We got another caller. Who we got? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to ENLIVEN Radio, part of Legacy Internet Radio. You have your one and only host, Mr. LP Stephen Sykes. Who do we have on the line today?
This is Dr. Juanita Fletcher.
Miss Dr. Fletcher. Woo! Ah, awesome. Awesome. Oh, we're in trouble now, everybody. How you doing, Miss Fletcher?
Oh, I'm doing well tonight.
Oh, we got the great Dr. Miss Fletcher here. First off, I want to give a shout out to the wonderful, wonderful launch party that you had last week for Archie Magazine. And that was a very pretty, powerful event. And I want to say thank you. Hats off to you and your daughter and everybody else that was involved.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming out.
Oh, no. The pleasure was all mine. It's not often I get to take pictures of two powerful and strong, beautiful women. So, hey, trust me, I enjoyed myself. But now tell us a little bit about, before we go into the wealth gap, tell us a little bit about your businesses, ma'am, if you don't mind.
Okay, well, I have currently 3 businesses. The first one I started out with was Glitz Hair Music and Excitement. And, well, initially it was GHME Productions. And I created the production company because I felt like as a production company you can go in many directions. So I already knew going in that there was a lot of things that I wanted to be able to do, and I didn't want to limit myself from the start. So the first company we created was Glitz Hair Music and Excitement. Now, basically that company it caters to girls, mainly little girls, and I, as a singer, I am a gospel singer, and as a singer I would go to different locations. Whenever I had to put out a project, I would have to go to different vendors. And my oldest daughter had went into the Navy because she was struggling trying to find work. And so she said to me, she was trying to work 2 jobs, hold on to an apartment, couldn't find jobs. She said, Mom, I'm just going to go ahead into the Navy. And because he didn't even have health insurance at that time. Because, when before Obama, when the kids were a certain age, when they get out of school, they would get cut off. So she said in the Navy, at least she would have coverage. So I'm thinking that she's going to come on back to Norfolk, and instead of her coming this way, they send my daughter to Japan. And for 6 months, my baby was gone, and I'm sitting here praying, and I'm saying, Lord, I need a business. I need an idea. And he just gave it to me one day, and it was basically what I had always been doing. As a singer, I would have to go to a vendor to create my project. I go into the recording studio, then I would have to find a photographer to get my headshots. You got to get a makeup artist, hairstylist. All of these things I would have to do for every project. And he just gave it to me and said, why does it have to be someone who is serious, only the people who are serious about music that can experience being in the studio? This can be a novelty. And that was my first business right there. I just turned it around and made it so that every little girl could come in and experience that. And I am very drawn to girls, especially because I'm the oldest girl, and then I have just daughters. So empowering girls was always my thing. And as I started doing it, I just would see how the girls would transform once they came in, once they got their makeup and everything on. And I was noticed that some of the little girls, one time I had this little girl, she's looking at herself, and she was only 6 years old, and we have a screen where they're able to see the photos afterwards. And she was crying. And I said to her, why are you crying? She said that I didn't know that I was pretty. In school, she's teased all the time. So I knew I was on to something. And then from there, my daughter is a photographer, and she wanted to grow. So she was saying to me that she wanted to go, she said, Mama, I want to be in a magazine, but nobody will put me in a magazine. And I'm saying, I just don't believe in waiting for somebody to do something for me. So I said, why do you need to be in somebody else's magazine? Create your own. we're in a production company. We have everything we need, so we can do this ourselves. So that's how Achi was born. We also have Mod Imagery because she practices a lot of the stuff that she does with the little girls. I consider it to be practice for something greater. So I felt like she could go. It was time for her to go ahead and move into doing more serious photos, special occasions, things that she can actually get out of the studio and do some on-location shots and things like that, just to keep her interested. So I've really built my company around what both of my daughters were interested in. My oldest daughter, before she went to the Navy, she did hair and makeup. So I've brought in what they've done.
Wow. Wow and wow. Awesome, awesome, awesome. First off, hats off to you to keep pushing and having that drive. I wish more mothers, not just mothers, just women and overall just push each other. That's one of the reasons why I have my empowerment series, which you are getting on, and your daughters for women, because I'm tired of the aspect of women, shy in front of the camera, shy in front of a camcorder, shy of everything, and you don't like pictures and all this stuff. Just stop that madness. Love yourself. There's not enough people teaching them to love themselves and things. So I appreciate you for that. Now, let me ask you a question. I'm asking everybody, so I have to be fair. Now, you're the doctor, of course, I know you know, but do you know what the wealth gap is?
Say that again.
Do you know what the wealth gap is? The wealth gap.
The wealth gap. I did look over, because I hadn't known it prior to looking over some information today in preparation for this. So I did see the 1% and how the amount of people that 1% covered. I did see the difference.
Okay.
But prior to getting, ready for this, I had no idea.
Okay. Well, that's one of the few reasons why we're doing this show, because many people some are, some not. And we're wanting to help people understand that it's not just the money. It's not just the color of the skin. It's not about where you are. It's about so many different things that affect this issue. And obviously not everybody can earn the same amount of money for a variety of reasons. But the disparity should not be so much, where in the past 50 years, just within the black and white community and Hispanic and Asian community, it's now over $500,000-$600,000. And
right.
For us, the black community only went from 50 years, only went up $25,000 to $30,000 to where the other community went up $500,000. And where we're not having education, we're missing high schools, not enough schools, people are not graduating, people are not getting their jobs, not able to contribute to society, not able to participate in small businesses, to be able to help grow your community and thus grow everything else further along. All these different things, that's contributing to the wealth gap. And now I'm going to ask you a question. As a mother and a business person, how do you see the wealth gap affecting your core businesses?
My core business, now I can look at the customer, the level of customer that I have for each business, because it's a certain income that you look at and see what your customer is, and you want to curb and fix your prices according to what your customer base is, so to make sure they can afford it. So I'm aware, because we have 3 different companies, there's a certain price bracket that I have for each company based on that, on what my customer's likely income would be. And I tried to make, with Glitter Music and Excitement, really, I tried to make it so that more people, because I felt the need for, as children, for us to understand and be empowered as little girls to see that we could do more. So I tried to make my prices a lot cheaper for that, and so that more people, lower income people, could reach me. And the way that it affects, because I had to create different companies to stay alive. You see what I'm saying? Because of, like, I started my company in 2011. 2008, that's when everything hit. And I wasn't in the market at that moment. However, I knew going into it, we weren't really out of it. So I had a while of struggling. And because the income was so low at that point, and people that had money, there was usually money that you could just go and buy some little things with, just the expendable money was gone. Now suddenly everybody was just paying for what was necessary. And if it wasn't something that was necessary, people were afraid to even spend anything. I'm not in an area in which that, like, if I was in a higher income area, then I wouldn't even, my prices would be up there and I wouldn't even be aware, really. I have to be aware now because of the bracket, the income bracket that I'm in as far as my client base. So I have to stay aware of what people are earning just so that I'm not overcharging and then find myself out of business. But it's affected me, and it actually affects how I grow my company. I have to be cautious because the income that we had at one point is just not there anymore. And a lot of my customers are one-income families now.
That leads to my next question, ma'am. Now, you are you're married and with children and prosperous and things, but one of the things that we're seeing now is, as I was mentioning earlier, a lot of men do not have the money now. The example I was given earlier is about you see an average woman traditionally now was earning $40,000, for example. The husband was earning maybe double, or somewhere 70, 80. But now with the jobs going to the women, and the workforce is now like, okay, we're going to cut the jobs. We want you to do the same thing, but your salary is going to be 75% less. You're not going to get 40 hours anymore. You're still going to get full time, but it's going to be between 28 to 30 hours now. And we're going to do the job for, instead of the job we were making you do the work of 2 to 3 people, we want you to do the work for 5 to 6 people. And that team that you were working on for this project, instead of 12 people, is now down to 3. And I still need it done in time by the end of the week. So you see the woman dealing with all these different pressures, and you see the guy dealing with the pressure and being emasculated over the lack of work, changing the dynamic of the culture, and it's not going back. I don't mind people earning the jobs. I've always been empowered about women earning the money. But now, at the same time, both sides need it. But we're not seeing that. What are your thoughts to that, ma'am?
Well, I know with my husband, his company was just purchased by a corporate company. He used to work for a private owner. It was an employee-owned company, and then they was bought out, and now it's by a big corporation that owns them. And he's had to go through a lot of changes. He was promoted to foreman. However, the income that he would have received prior to them coming in, he is not getting. Now, even though I have the businesses, we have never lived off of the income that I make. We've always just lived off of what it was that he brought home. And he has had to adjust because he does have to work more hours. And he is getting, like I said, the foreman before him earned more. And so he's had to adjust to these things in spite of everything that's going on, and still remain enthused about the job that he's doing and do it well, knowing that he feels slighted, but he still has to do his job to keep it. Because nowadays it's like a lot of people are just happy and feel lucky that they have a job, period. So you're not making as many waves as you may have done prior. But I think we've just adjusted because, we've never lived off of my income anyway. Mainly because I'm the risk taker in the family. So we've always just, whatever we had, as far as we just take, we're not big spenders, and luckily my kids are grown now, so I don't have to deal with any of those things because my children are all adults. But we've just adjusted and always have lived in a certain lifestyle. and it was based on what he was earning. And he's very good about saving. I'm not, but he's very good about saving. And, I mean, we are in a Christian home, so therefore he is the head of the house. And some things he needs to be, because financially I think we'd be broke if it was up to me. So we haven't, even when things were tight, I didn't really feel it. I'm sure that he felt that pressure, but as head of the household, he shielded me from it. So I'm sure he felt that pressure. But he's always done what was ever necessary to keep the family strong, period. And if we need to get extra jobs, I mean, like he does carpentry, so if he had to do something on the side for us, he would do what was necessary just to keep us strong.
From your perspective, coming from a different side, and you've been all up and down the ladder of the wealth spectrum, okay? Now, your perspective, what could the government here in the U.S. do to, like, in your mind, if you had the magic wand, like, we're talking to President Fletcher right now, okay? What could President? Okay. I hear the gleam in your eye on that one, but we're talking to President Fletcher right now. Ms. President Fletcher, we need you to create 3 things, and we're going to do it, no questions asked, to help get the America, regardless of color, just America, out, fix the wealth gap. What would you do?
To fix the wealth gap?
Yes, ma'am.
I would improve our education system. I don't think that we have a very good education system. There are kids that don't learn the same way. My daughter, one of my kids, she learns more hands-on. However, we still want to give this lecture, and we think that just one way for everybody to learn. And if you don't, and then now the pressure that the teachers are under, just to make sure they get the grade, they're not even really teaching anymore. Not to mention the money, the amount of money that is being put into the school system is terrible for these teachers. I think the teaching conditions is terrible. The school system needs to be fixed. So that was the first place I would go to the education. Secondly, I think that they should start, there needs to be something in which that children are able to be empowered, because I think that they need to realize that that things are possible. A lot of times I think that the kids are not even trying things because they don't think they're going to make it anyway. So that's why it's pointless to try certain things, because when they look around themselves, they don't see anybody who is doing anything different. So they're saying, well, why should I go to school? I'm not going to use this when I get out. I'm not going to be able to get a job. Some of the kids, I mean, they don't think that the adults are doing a very good job with a lot of things. So it's like, why try? So I think that there needs to be something to encourage the kids when they're young and let them know that they can do something and that there is something for them when they get out of school. The third thing, because I know that the education, to me, I guess I'm going to be in that bracket with this. A lot of kids don't want to go to college because of the financial burden that's put on them, and I think that burden should be taken off of the kids, that they don't have to worry about I guess that's what I would do. I would lower the cost of college education. I think the education in some countries, the education, higher education is free, and they're making sure that the next generation learns. And that's how they're doing it, and that's why they're beating us in so many ways, because their kids are educated. Our kids can't even afford to go. So I think I would fix the education system and the public school education. I would fix higher education, lower it lower it a lot. And I would have something in which that the kids can be some type of program in which the kids can feel encouraged and empowered as children coming up. So they have that sense of the sense that they can accomplish things from little children. They should be feeling that way, that things are possible through their whole life, and so that kids don't have this sense of hopelessness so much. that's one of the things that I'm really just baffled by, that the kids really have a sense of hopelessness. It's not like when I was younger, there was some hope. Once you take hope from people, what's left?
I'm sorry. Say that one more time, ma'am. I lost you a little bit. Please forgive me.
Oh, no problem. I said, once you take hope from people, it's not much left.
Amen to that. That is so extremely true. So extremely true. I thank you so very much, for taking the time out for all of this. And also, with your permission, I need to give a shout out to Miss Cookie for her, because she unfortunately lost a great one. And if you know her more, you know her better than I. I've only had 3 minutes or 2 minutes, I think, if that, with the lady, and I did not get a chance to speak to her as long. Could you educate us about her, please, if you don't mind?
I had seen her. I seen her for the first time in Virginia Fashion Week, and I seen her walk down the runway, and I said to my daughter, I said, "Who is that? We got to get her." I didn't know who she was. I thought she was the most beautiful thing I ever seen. And then I didn't know that her brother was Ron Cook, who was the co-founder of Virginia Fashion Week. And Nikki actually brought him into us to help us with the launch. And then that's how I found out that was his sister. And he said to me that he would definitely have her in the fashion show. So I had met her for the first time at the fashion show. And I only got to talk to her for a few minutes because, everything was so hectic back there. But I told her, I said, look, we want to put you in our next issue. And, she has this gorgeous smile. And she was like, yes, don't worry about it. Yeah, I definitely want to do it. And I said to her, okay, we're going to get together later. And I just really thought that we would be able to. And she was the first thing that we saw when it was time for that fashion show. And we wanted a certain look. We wanted a certain elegance and class. And I thought she was the perfect model to start it off. And Ron did an excellent job. And we're just going to miss her so much because she was just so beautiful. And she didn't even know me, really. She just met me. But she was so sweet. And, we're just all devastated.
I understand. I thank you so very much, Dr. Fletcher, for spending time with us, educating us from your perspective and a lot of different views. Awesome job again with your fashion show and your other two businesses. We're going to keep you going, and I'm definitely going to work to get you on our empowerment series. And please tell your daughters hello, and hello to your husband for me as well.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, too.
No problem. Thank you. You blessed us. And please keep us informed for all your events and things. And I want my signed copy of your magazine. I need 3, if you don't mind. I need one to give to my grandmother, one for myself, and another one I'm going to frame. Sorry.
Okay, I'll pass that on to Nikki.
Okay, thank you so kindly. You have a blessed one, okay?
You too. Thank you.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Everybody, if you don't feel the power, like I need to get up and do something, then I don't know what's missing. We've been educated by all these great and awesome women about everything, and that's just great. And I thank her so very much for that. And yes, you can do it. And just like Coach Ellis said, your hustle gotta bring you towards your wealth. And I'm seeing that in my life, between the speaking, the radio, my computer work, my IT skills, business, helping out with restaurants, tutoring, mentoring, helping doing research. And people always ask me, why do you do all these things? God just blessed me, and I'm very grateful. We have another caller. And hello. Welcome to ENLIVEN RADIO, part of the great and wonderful Legacy Internet Radio Company. I'm your host, the one and only Mr. LP Stephen Sykes. Who do we have in line today?
Lawrence Poole.
Povo, how you doing today?
Outstanding, sir.
I thank you so very kindly. I thank you so very kindly. Sir, first of all, are you warm?
Say it again, sir?
Are you warm? Because it's cold out there.
Yes, sir, I'm warm.
Okay, cool. Because I don't want nobody freezing on the show and things like that. And things like grateful for people's time, but I don't want them cold. Well, first off, sir, thank you again for joining us. And I'm asking everybody who calls in today the same important question. Are you familiar with the wealth gap?
Say it one more time, I can understand you.
I'm sorry. Are you familiar with the wealth gap?
The wealth gap?
Yes, sir.
Slightly, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, first off, before I get into that, I apologize. Where's my manners? You have a couple of businesses yourself, sir.
Yes, sir. I have an insurance agency, and I also have a networking group that I do, First Thursday Networking Group, bringing businesses together.
Tell us a little bit about your businesses, if your tax and your networking, if you don't mind, a webpage or contact, Twitter, Facebook, whatever we can do so our listeners can find you.
My insurance company is LAP Benefits and Services. My phone number is 757-449-6463. My email address is lp2nsure@gmail.com. Life insurance, you don't have to die to use. That's the new kind. That's the slogan. And my other business is I do a First Thursday networking event every first Thursday of the month down on the peninsula in the Tidewater area. And we basically just call First Thursday Connection. We're connecting businesses together professionally to help each other grow their business.
All right. I thank you so very much for letting us know, and that's important. Now, with the wealth gap, tell us your understanding and your views on the wealth gap.
Well, the wealth gap, my opinion is that it's a gap where some makes all the money and some make no money. So in between, you have people that's not doing anything. I think with the wealth gap, we should try to bridge it and pull people together to help those that's not doing a lot, show them how they can, teach them how they can, and help them kind of build their futures like the wealthy people are doing.
All right. One of the things that we was talking about in this wealth gap issue is, speaking about the wealth gap and bridging it, is that, and the key thing that all the guests are speaking about is the education. Okay, that we're, and regardless of communities, regardless of race, the education seems to be a problem, and it's not just necessarily about getting the higher degree. It's education of teaching how to run, what to do with our money. We're not living the life. We're not teaching our children how to save, and kids are going to learn by our example, whether we like it or not, how to drive, who we choose for our spouses, how do we, do money and pay our bills. Too many times we see kids not teaching their children how to pay the electric bill, how much money, how we have to balance and things like that, because we're fearful just not telling of our business. But we're going into the aspect of kids don't know how to handle business when they get older. Now, going with that, how do you see that going forward in life towards the wealth gap?
Well, first of all, a lot of people don't understand that we don't teach our kids the basic things, where it's basic savings, even just saving $1 a week or saving part of their allowance. We are allowing our children to spend every dime that they have. And we as adults, some of us adults, do the exact same thing. So our children are following the motto. It's basically some of the things that we need that are necessary. We don't teach our children at a young age. Sometimes we don't teach them that because we don't know, and we're not getting educated, not just in the classroom. It's just particular education out here from people who know. We don't sit down with them and listen. So until we start listening more and sharing more of what we have learned to those that don't know, it's keeping us bridged apart. And some of the basic things are just the basic things that you need as far as insurance. People don't realize that life insurance policies create wealth because you have the cash building policy that also helps for savings. And if you teach these children that at a young age and we start doing it, the trend will follow and you'll see that you're building wealth among yourselves.
And that's something that was not done very well in many other cultures outside of the Caucasian America. Life insurance policies, they pass it around down the line. If it wasn't the life insurance, it was the business. If it wasn't the business, it was the house. If it wasn't the house, it was the land. All those things were passed down the line, and people used that to help build education, the wealth, all the other stuff. Unfortunately, many people, just Black America, Latin America, a variety of different people, we didn't have those different advantages. We were prevented from, and now we're still struggling to catch up ahead. Now, on the flip side of that, I blame a lot of that now, currently, on us, speaking towards the Black community and Native American community as well. And some say, well, whoa. But I'm on the Bill Cosby side of thinking. Too often, I see people take that, like right now, tax refund, buy whatever on cars, junk and things we don't need. I don't understand. I see, I'll give you a perfect example. Down the street, there's a hotel with I think it was like 30 units in it. All they want is like $25,000 down, managing this, that, and the other. But you got so many of these families with so many different children. There were 2 or 3 children, 2 to 3 children who had 3 or 4 children, and they got $10,000, $20,000 each or whatever. How come we see so few take that money? You know, we're going to owe something as a family. Boom. May not make the money up front. Pay it off to get the money, or just to say, look, we got $12,000 between us. I know you want 20. Work with us, and the bank sees that you're doing it. You got a plan. Go into it. Now, that first generation may not have something, but now you built something for the next generation to help build your wealth. Just like the gentleman, Coach Ellis, said, it's not the 9 to 5 that's going to get you there. It's your hustle that's going to build that wealth. Why is that?
Well, you know, back in the day, and I hate to say it, our parents and our ancestors, they always had a job and a hustle. And we fell into that group of get that education, that's all you're going to ever need. Go to college, get in that job and work forever. And we never thought the day would come where people would start cutting back and laying off and shutting down. Our parents and our grandparents, they always looked at ownership, where they wanted to buy and own their homes. And now we, the younger generation, they're looking at renting instead of owning. And even if they get left the house by their parents or grandparents, they're all trying to take it and sell it. So our teaching is different. They're not stepping back to learn to take what they have learned from their ancestors and put it to use. They're so quick to just take that dollar because they feel that the money is the value. But they don't understand that property, land, and money is value. So we're taught a little bit different, and we're not following our old trend.
What was the lessons learned, money, like when you was younger? And I'm not doing this to cast any aspersions on parents, you or what have you. But what was your lessons about money from your family that you remember to help save for your life?
My parents always made sure that you save something. You know, we didn't have everything that we wanted. We had everything that we needed. And so, like my parents would tell you, okay, I'm going to make sure that what you need, I'm going to supply you with. Some of the things that you're going to get, but those other things that you really wanted, you save your allowance and you save your money and you go get it. We're so quick to give our kids everything that they don't know the value of earning something. You know, you see a new cell phone come out, you're quick to go buy that, upgrade that phone for those children. And instead of letting them earn their money and do it, everything is given to them. So the world has turned around to just being given. So everybody's looking for handouts and no one's looking at how to reach out and get the things themselves.
What would you say now, once you got that lesson, now, and forgive me, not trying to pry, but we're all here. You're on the show now, so we're family.
Okay.
What mistakes, and let me ask you this, did you go to college?
Yes, I did.
When you got to college, you're a free man. You just got ready to go. You were ready for mom and dad. What were some of the financial mistakes you made while you was in school?
Well, I can tell you the biggest financial mistake I made while I was in college, I made too much money. I was on a scholarship, plus I was working full time, and I didn't do anything with my money because I didn't know exactly at 21, 22 years old what you really should be doing. Now, don't get me wrong, I saved some money, but I didn't invest like I should have. I took care of myself because of what my dad had taught me and what my mother had taught me. But when it comes down to the total picture, they totally don't know because most of them didn't have my dad never graduated high school, my mother didn't graduate high school, but they raised a family and taught us to go to college and taught us necessary things. They purchased a home, they taught their children to do that, and so everything that they showed me for the basics, I did. But when it came down to what should I have done extra, I didn't do because in that mindset as a young child, you out at college, you're having fun. I had a lot of fun, I can tell you that much. And I paid my own bills and paid my way through, even with a scholarship. So I had more money than I knew what to do with. And back then, you're talking about, a couple $100 a week, which is no money back in the late 70s, early 80s. But back then, that was a lot of money for a college student to not have anything set up, structure of what he had to do. All your bills was paid. You were having fun. You were enjoying the college life. When you look back now, you say, wow, I should have been doing this and I should have been doing that. But I'm thankful for what I did get and what I did learn from that because it helps me better now that I'm older. And so I can teach my kids something different.
You have children now, sir, right?
Yes, I have 2 daughters and a granddaughter.
Woo! Now, you don't sound that old yourself to be having some granddaughter now, sir. You don't sound barely over 35. So, but congrats to you and your family for that. Now, you building your wealth with your life insurance and your networking business. Are your children now, you said you have 2 daughters. Are they involved in your business?
Yes and no. My daughters help me out when I need them. They don't have an insurance license to sell insurance, but my oldest daughter is talking about getting a license. But she's a college graduate too. Mm-hmm. So, she instilled that you have to get your education, but don't stop right there. You have to be able to learn something else outside that education because ownership is where it's about. You got to have your hands in something that you can own. You can always go to work and work for someone, but if you can get something for yourself that you can do, you can always have something to fall back on, and that's what I try to teach them. So she's starting now to look at, just the other day we had the same conversation about getting her insurance license. She says she thinks she's going to do it. So I'm hoping that it works off on her, it's instilled in her some of the things that I'm doing, and she's talking about trying to do her nonprofit. So I know that she feels that she needs to do something on her own.
Now that you got this, now, as the father, you're supposed to drag them in there to take that test. You're going to own this business when I get off. Nobody else is going to own this but family.
You could try to drag them in there, but if it's not in them and you force them when they don't want to go until they're ready, they're not going to step up and do what they should do. So you just try to keep them right by your side, and you just try to teach them and instill it in them. But when they make their mind up that this is something they want to do, and even if she doesn't come into the insurance business, if she gets into something on her own where maybe I can help her do what she's trying to do, it still gets those people on to ownership of something of your own. So no matter what happens in life, you always have something to fall back on. And the key thing about that is if it's something you enjoy doing, you're going to do it to your best. And that's what I want her to do. If she wants this nonprofit and she's willing to go out there and set it up for what she wants to do, you know they're going to put the time into it because it's theirs. And that's where their heart lies.
Amen, sir. Amen. As one man to another, I don't have any daughters, but I have a lot of friends with young girls, and that helped raise over the years. How many guns do you have in the house, and did you have to scare any young men away?
No, I almost had to beat one away, but I haven't had to scare away yet. So it's been okay so far. It's been okay so far.
Good man, good man. I'm proud, man. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, sir, for giving us a call and joining us with this conversation. You know, you sharing with us your experiences and things like that, man. And especially in college, man, that's money in the bank right there. Sometimes, some things you can't put money in, the price of money to, just the experience, man, and being willing to listen.
Absolutely.
And I thank you very much for taking your time, sir. You're always a friend and family of the program, and also please come on out and let us know if you have any events or things like that. And your next networking event, make sure you post on our radio page and let us know, okay?
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. You have a blessed one.
You too. Bye-bye.
We are hot today, and I mean hot, hot, hot. So hot the snow is not staying on my car. That's how hot we're doing today. I know we're a little bit over, and people are like, what in the world is ENLIVEN Radio doing? When you got something like this that's that important, you can't just cut it off. You have to let it run. You just got to let it run, because even if you cut the head off, it's still going to go. If Lord bless me, I keep on going. But even if you stop me, find some way to stop Mr. LP, we are still going to keep on going. And that's the important thing in the world and everything else. It's just important that we have to keep on going. And I think the running theme that we're learning here is the teaching our kids and getting the education of learning how to do what to do with our money, how to invest, how to save for a future, how to do what we need to do. Now, I think that's the running theme that we need to go with to help ensure that this wealth gap improves, especially in the many ethnic groups out there, and especially in the black community. We need to do a better job and stop the bowl. And I'm not trying to cuss here, but we definitely have to stop the bull and make sure stuff gets going. We got another caller. Hello, hello, hello. You have reached ENLIVEN Radio. I'm your host, the one and only Mr. LP, Stephen Sykes. Who do we have online today?
This is Barry Pryor.
I'm sorry, Barry Pryor. How you doing, sir?
How you doing, Stephen Sykes?
I'm doing all right, man. It's good to hear from you. How's life treating you?
Can't complain.
All right, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Please tell me you're not riding your bike out there in the snow, man.
I'm not riding a bike. Not tonight.
Not tonight. All right. I appreciate it. Well, first off, sir, thank you for calling us. Tell us a little bit about your business, sir, and how people can get in contact with you.
Well, I own and operate East Coast Z-Car Center, specializing in the Nissan and Datsun sports cars, the 240, 260, 280, 300, 350, and 370 Z cars. I can be reached at 757 543-6608 in the city of Chesapeake, Virginia. The zip code is 23324.
Okay, I'm sorry. Please help us. Your connection is fading out on me, sir. Could you say that one more time? Our East Coast cars, you're into modified Nissan and Datsun vehicles, and you also you're in Chesapeake, Virginia. And what was the rest, sir?
The address is 4320 Main Bridge Boulevard in Chesapeake. Specializing in all the Nissan Z cars, 240, 260, 280, 300, 350, and 370 Zs. Parts and service.
When I get down there, we're going to take a ride, right?
Sounds good to me.
I'll pay for the gas on top of it. I do, right? Now, as you going through all this, you've done some other things in your life. You were a probation officer, and also you're a father, and you moved out as an entrepreneur. And then going through all of this, what is the wealth gap to you? What does that mean to you?
Wealth gap. The wealth gap is based on the fact that some people choose to let money work for them, and other people choose to work for money. The wealthier people being the people who let money work for them, and the latter people who choose to work for money don't receive as much wealth because there's not enough hours of the day for you to make the money that you're worth. If you're working for somebody else, they're just not going to pay you what you're worth. If you're worth what you believe that you're worth it to yourself.
Now, a question for you, if you don't mind me asking, are you on a headset or are you on your phone?
I'm on a headset.
Oh, if you don't mind, if your hands are free, I know you're counting your dollars like that, man. But if you don't mind, can I get you to hold the phone for me and not the headset? You see how big time people get? They on the supersonic, yeah.
All right, I'm on the phone now, the regular phone.
Okay.
Without the headset.
That's no problem. Not a problem. We got you going. See now, yeah, we hear you now. See, we have to let sure the ladies hear you, man. Come on, man. We got to keep you going. But you were mentioning now with the wealth gap and spending and saving and spending the money. Can you continue?
Yes. The wealth gap. The wealth gap is based on the fact that some people prefer to let money work for them, and other people prefer to work for money. People who let money work for them are always going to be the more wealthy people in society. And the people that actually go to work, by the hour are going to receive less pay. It's not real complicated. Mm-hmm. And the person that you are depends on the person that you choose to be.
Now, you and I both know, obviously, no matter what we do, we all can't earn the same money. But now you've been a probation officer, you've owned your own business, you've done all these other different things. You can't tell me that you felt like you got the money that you deserve for all the skills that you brought to the job. Correct?
Well, no, I didn't get. I never did receive the money that I personally believed I was worth working for somebody else.
And so now it's going.
People just give you enough money.
Right.
As the entrepreneur, the sky's the limit.
Now, but we're seeing, and you saying that we need to go out there and get it as independent business owners, what have you. But we're seeing these barriers out there, all types of barriers that's preventing us. Now, you're doing it. I'm doing it. Many others out there are doing it. But we're still trying to do better. And there's other people who just trying to get started. What do you say some of the better barriers like education, economy, stupid political laws? What do you think of these barriers and others?
The barriers are always going to be there. The barriers are what divide the people that have from the people that have not. The people that continue to cross the barriers and defy the barriers and dare to take a chance on having their own are the people that make it. And it's so much easier to go to work for somebody else and to be the person to say who me and to take orders from people. That's easy. But who wants it easy in life? I always did accept the challenges of life and always wanted the hard road. And it's the hard road that leads to the most financial success.
Ain't that the truth? Now, what were some of the barriers you experienced? Like, I know you to be a hard-working man and everything else out there. What were some of the barriers that stopped you, or people try to tell you, you know what, Barry, it ain't going to work?
The biggest barrier I found is the race. The black male is the last person on earth that society wants to see be successful. and they threw every hurdle possible in your way. And that is the biggest barrier I've seen. But I refuse to use it as an excuse. But it's just realistic that and that's definitely there. I worked in a prison as a correctional officer, and the prison had 400 inmates, and 300 of them were black males. There's no way in the world that black males are committing crimes as the minority in society at that rate. What's happening is the black male doesn't get a second chance. First time he commits a crime, he goes to prison. White males, 4 or 5 offenses before they get the same time as the first offense black male, and that's fact. So I think my race has been the biggest obstacle I've had to endure. And to this day, I'm still enduring, racial problems. Because, the white people just don't accept African Americans as their equal, especially when it comes to self-employment.
All right, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Well, you know what, Mr. Pryor, sorry about that, but there's more of us than you. That's just the way it is. So what?
Well, it never stopped me. So I just kept on fighting, and you gotta deal with the color of the skin that you're in, and so be it. And like I was saying to somebody the other day, I've been in business 23 years, and I'm still here in probably one of the most racist cities on the East Coast. So you just don't give up. You don't quit. Accept the facts and you keep going forward.
How is the city, and then you're speaking of Chesapeake, how is Chesapeake racist to you in your business?
The city of Chesapeake has thrown every obstacle in my way that they could possibly have thrown in my way. And, they started with the fire marshal and all his rules and regulations, and they just threw every obstacle they could in my way. And I've seen other businesses, and I can understand why other businesses have folded. The economy was not my worst obstacle. The city of Chesapeake and the rules and regulations were my obstacles. But I endured, and they didn't win.
Do you think the government as a whole is helping people overall? Do you think the government overall is helping us?
The government will give Chinese restaurant owners loans and stuff so they can start businesses. They seem like a lot of people are giving loans for businesses, and it seems like the African Americans are the last person to get a loan. I've never received any kind of a government loan. I haven't even asked because I was able to use my own money to start my business and to maintain it. But after speaking to other business owners that try to get loans, it's very difficult to get a loan if you're a minority in this country.
Now, who taught you about money when you were growing up? Now, we all you went to school. Did you finish high school?
I have a degree in psychology.
Okay, awesome, man. Now, how did you translate from psychology to a man now running a business?
Well,
in cars, I should say.
I learned the hard way about that. I learned the business side of it from just simply from the what they call the rough. I actually made mistakes and learned from those mistakes and corrected those mistakes and it went forward. And like I say, it's been a real tough battle, but I never learned. I didn't learn half as much in college as I learned in the real world. You don't learn a lot in college. Actually, what you learn in college is how to learn. But when you get into the real world, that's when you really get your education.
Now, we talked about things in the past with the wealth gap, and family and passing down the knowledge and stuff. What did your family pass down to you? Like, did anybody pass down a lump of money to get going for you? Was there business that you took over by any chance?
My father told me that when I finished high school, I needed to go to college, and he didn't have any money to send me. And he also told me if I didn't go to college, I didn't have anywhere to stay after that. Because after high school graduation, I was, the beds were disassembled, the forks and spoons were broken up, bent, all my plates were thrown away. I was on my own, so I knew that I either had to go to college or go in the military, and I didn't want to go in the military, so I went and got a loan for our first semester, and I walked on to the Norfolk State track team, and I earned a scholarship after my freshman year, and paid the rest of the time in college.
So you basically hustled your butt and never let that die.
And that's the way you got to get it.
Now,
no matter if somebody give you a lump sum of money, and you don't know how to manage the money, it won't last.
Now, what would you say?
You get it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm finished. Go ahead and finish.
Okay, don't. What would you say is like now we seeing going on around here the price stability? Okay, you see prices of things up and down, and I understand things go with the times of parts and a variety of things, but we're not seeing this price stability in order for people to have a general knowledge to say, okay, I need to purchase such and such at this price in order to make a product or to build something to be able to sell it back at the customer. Now, we all know business things are sometimes sold at the price, multiple of 2 or 3 or 4 for what amount it costs. And that's fair. That's business. But when the price goes up and down, we have trouble trying to get that. What are your thoughts towards that?
Well, I have a policy that I won't be undersold. And in order not to be undersold, you have to get this stuff cheap enough yourself. And, the computer is a beautiful thing. But sometimes for me, it has become a double-edged sword. Because if I'm selling something for 50 cents, somebody in the world, and then because of the computer, you can be connected to somebody on the other side of the world, they'll be selling it for half of that or even less. So the computer it's a good thing, but it makes everything extremely competitive. And with prices going up and down, you have to have the cheapest price or close to it in order to sell it. So you have to adjust your prices. And in order to adjust your price, you have to buy them cheap.
Now that you have your business and your life lessons and experience, you have how many children do you have, sir?
I have 4 children.
4 children.
3 of them grown. 3 grown children.
And the youngest one is still is in high school, middle school.
The youngest one in high school.
Okay. With all your children, what are you hoping? Obviously, they know that Dad went out there and got it. Dad went out there, hustled, did whatever to keep himself going. But besides the aspect of working hard, what are some financial lessons are you teaching them with money?
Well, my oldest child is 30 years old. He had his own business too. He has a motorcycle shop. Mm-hmm. He went out and he used to work with me at my shop when he was from day one. He was 5 years old. I had him out at my shop working with me, so I could teach him, so he would understand that you aren't going to truly be successful unless you work for yourself. And I put that inside his head early on, and he picked it up and he ran with it. And I got a nephew as well, my sister's son. He's an entrepreneur, and so is my brother. And my father was an entrepreneur at the end after he retired from the military. Prior to that, he'd always worked for somebody else, but he always told us, get your own business, start your own business. He just kept saying it, and it didn't dawn on me until after I got my degree and couldn't find a job that I figured I probably need to start my own business. Working for somebody else is no security.
What would you say, in your view? What would you say what the government needs to do to help people, all races, all genders, all different class backgrounds? What do you think the government should do? Because the stat says 67% people feel that the laws benefit the rich and not the poor, and laws help them get started with businesses versus us. What do you think that should be done?
Well, as bad as it sounds, the government, the rich people are going to be rich. regardless of what the government does. Because what the government does doesn't dictate how much money they have. The government can't control how much money they have because the government didn't give them their money, and it's not because of the government that they have money. On the other side of the coin is if the government helps the poor people too much, the poor people will get lazier. You understand what I'm saying? Because I don't know if you remember, but back in the day when a woman had a baby out of wedlock and she lived in a project, the more babies she had, the more money they would give her. So what they were doing was they were reinforcing negative behavior, which was having a lot of kids. They were giving her more and more money. So what would she do if she's a lazy woman that wants something for nothing? She'd go and have as many kids as she could, be on welfare, and keep collecting these checks. So that is definitely something that the government doesn't need to do. They don't need to have so many handouts for people that don't have, because the more you give somebody that doesn't have, the more they're going to want from you. So they need to allow people to stand on their own 2 feet. And the ones that are going to make it are going to make it. And the ones that are not going to make it, they're not going to make it regardless of what the government does. And I know that sounds kind of harsh, but that's the way I see it.
But see, you know they want to get rid of welfare.
Huh?
You know they want to get rid of welfare overall.
Well, the more you give somebody, the more they expect you to give them. I mean, you can teach a village how to fish, and they can feed themselves forever. Or you can just keep giving them fish, and you'll be giving them fish forever. And that's the reality of the situation.
What would you say? We spoke as from the male perspective. Any of your children are daughters?
Can you repeat that?
I'm sorry. We spoke from a male perspective point of view. Do you have any daughters of your 4 children?
Yeah, I have one daughter.
Okay. Is she the oldest, middle, youngest? Well, she's not the youngest, but is she the oldest, or?
She's 23. She's kind of 4. She's the second oldest of the 4.
What would you? We spoke from a male perspective point of view, and things are even harder for the women. You know, they earn 78 cents to every dollar that the man makes. But now we live in a society where the woman has the job and the guy doesn't. The woman has their own businesses and the guys are still struggling to get the job off the ground. Not because of doing anything wrong, but it's just how society has played itself towards that situation. What are you telling your daughter, the message that you're sending her towards society and the wealth gap, that what she needs to do to fix that's different from the man?
What am I telling my daughter in reference to the gap in wealth?
Yeah, but versus what you're telling your sons, like what lessons are you teaching your daughter?
Oh, daughter versus what I'm telling my son.
Yes.
No, my daughter needs to learn the same thing that my son needs to learn. She needs to be able to stand on her own 2 feet. She doesn't need to go out and look for a man to take care of her. She needs to take care of herself. So when she does find a man, she can meet him halfway, and they can build something together. Otherwise, she'll find herself in a position where the man's giving and all she's doing is taking. And when he gets tired of giving, then she'll be right back in the same place that she was in. She can support herself. She won't need a man.
Do you feel that we had the strong gender roles? Well, so let me rephrase that. We grew up in a society that we try very hard to define roles of a man and a woman. And we see lessons learned that does not work. We have to define what works well for you and your family overall. But do you feel that's a problem? Do you feel like a woman should have a certain place and a guy should have a certain place?
Well, I grew up in a home where my mother never worked. My father was the breadwinner. My mother's roles and positions was to cook and make sure the clothes were washed. And you have to change with the times. The one income family is kind of obsolete, and especially in the middle class environment. So you have to change. I mean, now the woman works and the man work too, and they share the roles inside the house. And so, time, you got to change with the times. And that's what we're looking at now. We're looking at a situation where both parents got to work. And, the child suffers a little teeny bit because the child doesn't have the supervision that he had when one parent was working and the other one was at home all the time. But things change, and people have to change and adapt to the environment around them.
Mr. Barry, I thank you so very much for joining us this evening. You have tremendously helped and shared a lot with us, and I thank you for your experience, sir, very much.
Thank you.
No problem. And then, anything you got going on, please, you're a friend and family of the program. Let us know. We'll be sure to get it out there. And please stay warm and enjoy yourself this evening.
You too. Good night.
Good night. Woo. Everybody, we done hit heavy and hard this evening, and I do mean heavy and hard with this topic. I know we ran over. I think this may be the longest we've ever been over. But, this was a much-needed topic, much-needed discussion, and we just needed to cover that. So where do we come from? And I'm like, well, let me ask it this way. Where do we stand? Is anything solved? I think we have a lot of good answers. I think a lot of things sometimes we need to start working within the homes as well. And because obviously we can't change the laws overnight. We can, but we know they're not going to do it. But they only work a few number of days a year anyway. Our tax dollars hard at work. But we have to do more. Some of the key thoughts: we need to make sure our hustle builds our wealth. We have security to 9 to 5 and other things in marriage and other things if you've been blessed enough with things passed down to you. And I tell everybody, if you have a family business and you may not want to do it, but use it to your advantage to help get you where you need to be. Also, we learned a tithe of what we earn, where we should be, not of what we are currently earn. If you don't have it, just like Coach Ellis said, give an extra 100, do something so we can give him the glory. In addition, we learned that we really need to work on our homes, and especially in various ethnic community backgrounds, that to help teach you money and what to do with the money, not just say get an education, go to college, get a training certificate, get your ASC mechanic license or HVAC license, and fix refrigerators and heating and cooling. I mean, but what to do with the money? Do I pay my bills every day? Do I do this? Or whatever's going on in your home. As soon as your child learns his or her numbers, they need to learn how you're paying bills. Now, yes, you don't want the child knowing everything and the fear of running out to the school and telling your business. That's just where parenting comes in. But other than that, we need to do better. I want to go over our black facts and history. I'm going to leave the words of the week alone. But in 1971, 12 black congressmen boycotted Richard Nixon's State of the Union message because of his consistent refusal to respond to petitions of black America. In addition, in 1933, All Black American Bridge Association was founded. In 1773, I'm always trying to do more. Poet Phyllis Wheatley, born a slave in 1754, was freed, and her book of poetry, poems on various subjects, religious and moral, was published. The book of poetry is said to have been widely acclaimed in the U.S. and England. And guess what? It was in the National Library of Congress as well. Very much heralded book that we need to take a look at. In addition, around this time in 1949, January 22nd actually, James Robert Gladden becomes the first African-American certified orthopedic surgeon. Very powerful. And last but not least, Willa Brown Chappell was a pioneer in aviation, was born on this day. And she did a lot for aviation, and including especially for black women, to encourage to learn how to pilot, navigation, and get women involved out there. So it's very good. Again, everybody, great show, great everything. I thank all of our guests. I want to give a shout out to Miss Catrina Dunlap for giving us a call. Coach Ellis Crum, a life coach, who's doing a variety of great different things. And thank you so very much. Miss Tina Hawkins for the credit repair, the credit coach, to give her experience as a mother and the pain that she had to go through as a mother, as just her own self, as a wife, it's everything. Wanted to give a thank you for Miss Dr. Juanita Fletcher, soon to be President Fletcher, for all her businesses and her savvies and her launch of her magazine and teaching us a whole lot what she had to do as a mother, a wife, and her daughters and everything that's going on. Make sure you check out Achi Magazine, achimagazine.com. Great magazine, fashion, and thank you so very much for enlightening us on Cookie, who passed away from us the other day or yesterday. I want to thank Mr. Lawrence Poole, CEO of LAP Benefits Life Insurance and Tax Businesses, and he also is head of the business networking organization down in the Tidewater area. Check him out. He's always powerful, and just a lot of good information there. And, of course, last but definitely not least, Mr. Barry Pryer, who owns East Coast Z Car Center. Been running that for like 23 years. My hard-working father of 4 children. 3 boys, 1 girl. You know, going for probation officer, running small jobs, everything to build himself up for his business. And it's not just about money, because, of course, that's a nice factor. But it's just about setting up a goal, an image, and a level of effort for you and your family. Because once you start it, you got to finish it. And that's the doggone truth. Special shout out, and last but not least, to Miss Nikki Curry, a wonderful woman, the brand definer. And I'm telling you, I'm learning a lot. We've gotten so much out of that that she's done blessed us with. I want to just thank her so very much for that. Great public speaker, publicist, brand manager, and more importantly, a friend. And I want to say thank you. Everybody, thank you for listening to us out there on LegacyInternetRadio.com, also on LoudCity.com, or MixLR.com, and also on the TuneIn application. Make sure you check out all of our shows up Mondays from 7 to 9. Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J. On today, of course, you have me, Mr. LP, Stephen Sykes. Usually I have my co-host, Ms. Brandy Richardson, and Mr. Sincere, who was not able to be here because of the weather. But again, shout out, much love, and I pray that everybody is safe. On Wednesdays, you have the Green Room version 2.0 with comedian Jay Grizzy and comedianess Lissa P. Always powerful, always funny. 7 to 9, they're going to keep you hot and going. On Thursdays, Iron Horse Radio, about the biker experience from 7 to 9. On Fridays, we had the Bob Marley and Family Music Mix from 6 to 7. And did they just play that? Those songs you think like, wow, they really did play that? That's from 7 to 9:30. But coming soon in that spot, we are going to have Clutch starting in February. So, you know, it's a lot, just a lot going on. And on Saturdays, we play Did They Just Play That? And Deep House Sessions with DJ Renee Melendez. And that woman got all types of music. You think it's just house, you know, steady beat, boom, 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 boom. No. She has a lot of different other music things playing. She goes country, to rap, to rock, to gospel, to ska, to classical, all jazz. She just gets a lot of different music playing with her jazz, with her house music. Is just very powerful. Again, everybody, is you know, we need to do more. It's very hard out there. Take it from me, a gentleman that's out there pushing hard every day. Some people ask me why I'm doing this and that and all these other different things. You got to fake it till you make it, as they say, my grandma said. Don't stop. Keep pushing forward and keep living. Have a great night, everybody. Be good to each other. Be safe on those roads. Clean your wipers. Make sure the air's in your tires. Do the right thing. If you don't know how to drive and you're scared, stay off the road. I'd rather you call in versus hurting yourself and somebody else. Because one last thing, the decisions that you make don't just affect you, it affects other people around you. Seriously, the decisions that you make don't affect you, they affect other people around you more. So when you're spending that money, think about everybody else that could use that in your family, if you have children, wife, or even yourself. When you go out there, you're hanging out at night, you're supposed to be somewhere else, or just getting yourself some rest, you're not able to perform at your best. You're getting involved in things you have no business doing, getting involved in extra drama, all types of stuff is going to hurt. So don't do that to yourselves. Good night. God bless. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.